Well, what are we going to do today?
All right, so we're going to do overhead squats. We're going to do...
supersets or just normal?
We'll just take it in turns because you'll be lifting more weight than me probably. And then we're going to do standing good morning, really, really deep for the posterior chain. Then we're going to hit split squats with a pause to really hit the ankles. Then we are going to do a few things for the hips, external rotation, active pigeon weighted, and then hamstring bounces to finish off.
Sounds good.
To really destroy the hammies.
It's been a while since we've done this.
First thing is the banded overhead squats. I know how much you love this one, Josh.
It's my favourite. It's all I think about.
It's a love-hate relationship for most people. Do you know why? Because it challenges the mobility really through a full range of motion. It's difficult to keep the band upright. So a lot of people will find that they're here, like they can't open their shoulders and sit back. And then be able to squat all the way. So the thing that you're going to get right with this exercise is to choose a band that allows you to support upright, like with the shoulders locked out the whole time.
Why is this so important?
So because otherwise you'll be like this, your arms will be bent.
But in general,
in general,
to perform this movement.
Look, this is just a great activation drill. It just teaches you how to kind of keep that spine nice and straight. Teaches you how to open the shoulders. Teaches you how to keep the ribs in. And then, of course, challenges your squat through a full range of motion. One of the best exercises, I find.
There's a lot to think about in this one.
There is.
You're challenging everything.
Because you've got to think of like pushing up and then squatting down. So it's kind of like a push-pull. And he doesn't take a heavy band to get this one feeling.
I'll do a set. You can get into it. You're just going to do the bar with no weight?
I'm going to start with the bar and I'll work my way up to about 35, 38 kilos. So you can see how it will kind of transfer over into that squat. Right, but now that band is providing you resistance through the full range of motion, whereas the bar is only up here. So there's not much resisting on the way down like there is in the band. So you're going to see a lot of CrossFitters like go really wide with this grip in an overhead squat, right? Have you seen them?
Yeah, the wider you go, the easier it is, right?
Yeah, because you're not challenging your range of motion as much. This would require more stability because it's wider and there's a lot less muscle supporting this position. However,
it also requires more shoulder strength.
Yeah, I prefer to go a lot closer with that grip and to challenge myself that way.
So you want to go as close as you can without your elbows bending.
Yeah, don't bend your elbows. Like, look, you can definitely play with the grip. Like, sometimes I play with it super close. And that's like even more challenging. It's like a mental fuckery, this one for me. Because I feel like my legs are strong. I'm able to kind of support the bar and the weight in my lower body. My upper
it's okay
body.
to arch the back and the bottom?
Look, it's fine. Not overly. I'm very flexible in the spine. So that's why it might look like I
don't think you have a spine.
I have a spine. It's just very mobile.
So with most of these exercises, we always do 10 reps. 3 sets to 5 sets. Usually our first exercise, we do 5 sets. That's like our main movement for the workout. And then after that, three sets of everything else. And we normally work in the 10 rep range. When we're doing mobility, we go in the 10 rep range and we always want to hold the last rep for 10 seconds.
It depends what exercise
depending on what exercise it is.
To challenge the end range in an isometric position.
So for example, in this, you'd pause for 10 seconds at the bottom. So everything's activated.
Yeah.
You really start to feel it in your upper back, shoulders.
I'm going to do some hangs while you do that. And see how I'll point out everyone has a different squat. Like some people's feet will turn out. Other people's will turn more in. Some people will have a wider squat. Some people will have a more narrow squat. It just depends on your individual proportions. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. You just want to find your kind of ultimate position where you feel comfortable.
As I push it up, I want to put the weight into my heels as opposed to my toes. I see a lot of people are leaning forward a bit too much to compensate for the shoulder mobility, and they kind of like come off their heels a bit. You want to avoid doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to drive up through the heels as well. So the heavier this bar gets, the more you're going to have to use your glutes, use your quads, control your spine, and elevate your shoulders.
If ever you're not sure what to do in between your sets, you feel like you're wasting your time scrolling your phone, just hang. Hang or squat. If you struggle to hang, I'd aim for 60 seconds. Try and accumulate 60 seconds in as few sets as possible. If you can do it, what?
The one thing that I hate about commercial gyms is I can never find the weights. Like, this is 30 kgs now.
30 kg. She's going beast mode.
So the most difficult thing for me, to be honest with you, is getting this damn thing above my head. So that's where I struggle with, because I'm not so strong there. But once I do get it up, I try to lock it. So I try to elevate my shoulders, but I also try to keep them locked into place. So it's really all about stability. Stability is really important. You have to remember that stability comes before mobility. Mobility comes before strength. So you want to get those in place before you can progress to avoid injury, to improve movement patterns, etc., etc. Do you actually know what ETC means when you say etc.?
Sorry?
Never mind.
Something about ETC.
Yeah, what does it mean when you're talking and you're numbering things, etc., etc.?
Etc. Isn't it like Latin? I don't know.
I'm not sure. If anyone knows, drop it
Latin
in
or
the
Greek?
comments.
Maybe Latin. Let us know in the comments. We can all learn together.
Okay, so I set myself a goal. I want to be building up to 40 kilos for 5 reps of this.
How much?
40, 50 kilos. 50, sorry.
We're doing 5 sets.
Yeah. I mean, for you, this is peanuts. Because you're up.
Light work, baby.
Josh's shoulder is the size of my head. I'll go into some hanging. So I alternate one arms. So here's the thing that people don't believe me. They don't believe me that I hung for 23 minutes.
Do it right now. Show them. Prove them all wrong.
Do you believe me, Josh?
I believe you.
I have video to prove it. I mean, I was changing arms back and forth, right? But I still did it without coming off the bar.
I'd say that qualifies as a 21-minute hang.
Yeah, it does. I won $2,000 for it. It was a competition. Beast mode. So how much weight do you reckon you're going to work up there?
To be honest, I feel like I haven't trained in 2 weeks because it's been Christmas.
Yeah.
Even though it's been about 4 days. I'm happy
I'm going to stick
I'm
5.
happy with this intensity.
And here's the thing I like to do. I like to pause in the bottom, make sure I'm not using momentum, and then really using my legs to drive up. So shoulder mobility, I would recommend a lot of hanging. I would recommend a lot of shoulder dislocates. I would recommend a lot of exercises where you're taking the upper back out of the equation and learning how to flex your shoulders without compensating. A lot of people will compensate and they're going to end up using a lot of their spine to get overhead. But you need to learn to lock that in. And you need to learn how to move your shoulders.
Maybe we should make a video on weighted shoulder mobility.
We will. Next session, I reckon.
We'll train that tomorrow.
Because we're going to do upper body mobility next session.
Yeah. Tune in tomorrow for some upper body mobility.
Yeah. Let's go. Chop, chop. Always has to be pushed, this one. Always looking for an easy way out. You're doing overhead squats, dear, not regular squats. There you go. How's that feel for you? Eagle grip hang. So this one challenges the shoulders in internal rotation. It's quite difficult, but stretches out the lats too. Hanging, the most underrated exercise with the most benefits. I reckon hanging is like for the upper body what the squat is for the lower body. How's that feeling? I reckon I can pump it up a little.
Feels good.
All right, so I'm going to challenge myself here because I haven't done 40 in a while.
So you guys being here is holding her accountable. She wouldn't push herself like this if you weren't here.
I wouldn't. But I think it's time because I'm always comfortable. I'm comfortable. And we know that you can't grow where you're comfortable, right? There's no growth. So we've got to get out of our comfort zone.
I feel like we're both going to grow from doing this.
What do you mean?
Filming every day.
Oh, yeah. Accountability. We always tell our students they've got to stay accountable. So
we need you guys to keep us accountable. If you see us slacking,
we can't be
don't
slacking.
go easy on us.
We owe you. So in the process, we can keep ourselves accountable. I'm nervous about this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to lift it over my piss weak shoulders. What do you reckon?
Go for it.
I'm going to try.
It's light work for you.
Oh, I'm definitely not a CrossFitter.
It's also good because it keeps us off the phone.
Yeah, it's true.
Because the phone is filming. CrossFit moves.
Yeah, it's kind of like mental. You've got to imagine that you're shoving it up there. Mental imagery, visualization. Because I'm fine once I get it up. All right, so here I am for 40. I need some support.
For real? You got this. Your right foot's a little lower than your left foot.
It's a fucking floor. Lightweight.
How many reps?
5.
Oh.
Yeah, boy.
When I'm strength training, I like to go 5 by 5. What about you?
I like to play in the 6 to 8 rep range.
I feel like it's better for strength.
Look,
Especially upper body.
There's different schools of thought. However, I will say, as a beginner who's not very strong, it's very difficult to do 5 reps.
Because as a beginner, you want to do higher reps. You want to do 10 to 12.
You want to groove the pattern and you want to get the movement pattern.
Especially with body weight.
Yeah. But everything, like you're not going to get a beginner to do 5 reps of a squat because you're not going to be able to increase the intensity enough to get anything out of it. How's that, boy? Woo, I'm excited about this. 5 felt easy. 40 kgs. Drive through your heels. So you want to sit back into your heels a little bit more. And then drive the chest up. There you go. Nice. Solid.
Yeah, I really don't like this tool.
Look, sometimes in
No
life,
excuses here.
you don't get everything perfect.
A good worksman never blames his tools.
Never. You do you deal with what the cards gave you. You improvise. That's why I hate people that complain, that make excuses about why they can't train, why they can't do this, why they can't do that.
Do you think you ever complain?
Do I complain? Sometimes. I complain sometimes.
What does sometimes mean?
Sometimes I complain.
What does sometimes mean?
Maybe once a day.
Once a day?
Yeah. Look, I complain at the things which I feel like I don't have control over.
That's the worst type of thing to complain about.
Well, not necessarily, because the things that I have control over, I'm able to...
You should be complaining about that.
No, because I deal with the stuff that I have control over. I believe that I have discipline when it comes to that. It's stuff that I don't have control over, where I can't make it work. That's when I complain.
Give me an example.
Well...
Because I would argue that 90% of the things that you complain
Let's
about,
say
you
you
actually do have control.
Well, let's say you run a business, okay? And is it worthwhile to complain when you set the operations for your team and your team doesn't execute?
Yeah, that's your responsibility as the manager,
your responsibility.
as the leader.
I know. So I also know that it's always your fault. I get that. But complaint-wise, it's more venting, I would say, rather than complaining. So I get to vent to you. That's why you think it's complaining. It's not really complaining, it's just venting.
Right.
Here we go then. Last set. I'm pretty happy with that effort. One more set of 5. So how would you suggest a beginner start with overhead squats, Josh?
Overhead squats, I would recommend starting with a resistance band, a thin one, and get familiar with the movement pattern.
Even a
See what
stick.
your limitation is. Is it your hips? Is it your ankles? Is it your shoulders? I feel like for most people it's going to be shoulders. Ankle is an easy fix. You can just elevate the back of your heel like we showed you earlier.
Even a stick would be great for beginners. Elevate your feet and use a stick.
Hanging, warming up with plenty of hanging, shoulder dislocates, like Vanya said. I actually love shoulder dislocates. It's one of the best things to do. In between sets, keep a band at your desk at work. You can just do them whenever. It's easy. Yeah, if shoulder is your biggest limitation, weighted shoulder mobility will fast track that for you, get you up to speed. So we're going to do some of that tomorrow. How'd that feel?
Amazing. Yeah, I feel great about myself. That's a PB for me, I reckon. 40 kgs, 5 reps.
Do you ever track your numbers?
You know what? I don't. I should.
Why should you?
Because it's important to measure. That's how you improve. However, lately my training has been kind of more about play rather than progressing in anything. All right, let's move on to standing good mornings for the posterior chain. Can you pop that one up for me? Because you is a strong ass man.
She's right, I am.
All right.
Okay, so that was, what did we just do?
Overhead squats.
Overhead squats.
And
So yeah, to recap, it's a great compound movement to start with. Go 5 sets if you're going to start with it. Identify what your limitation is. Is it your lower body? Is it your upper body? If you're limited by shoulder mobility and you can't even do it, we're going to do some weighted shoulder mobility tomorrow. Stick around for that. You can also just do it with the bands like how Vanya did at the beginning.
Or a stick. Or a stick.
10 reps. And try and hold the bottom rep for 10 seconds if you're kind of new to it. We didn't actually do it towards the end there. We should have.
Yeah, I was pausing each rep.
Yeah. Whenever you can, I always like to just finish the last rep of the set with 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It's where a lot of the strength is built in a lot of things. Same as what we're about to do now. So we're going to do straddle good mornings now.
Yeah, for the posterior chain. So I'll start off with this. Like for this one, I don't think you should go as heavy as you can. I think range of motion is priority.
I'd say you want to go as heavy as you can. That allows you to stay within 10 to 12 rep range.
Yeah, exactly.
There's different ways you can hold the weight for this one. So you can do it overhead like Vanya's with the bar.
Yeah.
I personally don't really like it that much.
You want to be keeping it a little bit lower. So not on your neck. You want to be keeping the barbell down on your shoulder blades sort of thing. And in a straddle position. So the wider you are, the more you're going to hit your adductors. The more narrow you are, the more you're going to hit your hammies. And so what you want to think about is pushing the hips back, keeping the spine nice and flat and lowering as far as you can. And then pushing back up through the heels. So I definitely wouldn't start beginners with a lot of weight.
And you only really want to get your body down to parallel with the ground. There's not really any need to go much further. If you can get further in good form, then really you want to look at progressing the movement to maybe a seated good morning, which will...
Or even adding load.
Or even adding more load.
So like there's lots of ways that you can play with this, like to challenge the range of motion beyond what is considered necessary. I mean, there's not much use for it. It's just fun. When you can do it, why not do it?
If you are going to use the barbell to add weight, make sure that the bar is going across like your scapula and the back of your shoulder, like your rear deltoid. It's not on your neck. Like it's going to be a lot of pressure on your neck if you're doing it like that. So you can do it like that sometimes. When it gets to a weight like this, you're not going to be able to do that anyway because it's going to hurt too much. But like if you're not using much weight, if you're maybe using a 10 kilo bar or maybe in a 20 kilo bar, it's going to, like you won't feel it as much. But why'd you look up when you go down?
Oh.
Some people like to keep their chin to their chest. Some people like to look up.
No, well, you shouldn't look up. You don't want to crank your neck. You want to keep your neck neutral. So pretty much, you shouldn't be looking up. I was just looking up at myself in the mirror. Just checking myself out.
That's more important than form, as long as you can see yourself.
However, you should keep it nice and neutral with the neck so that it stays aligned with your spine. And you want to think about hinging the hips back. I always like to imagine I have a piece of paper in between my hips and I want to squish it. Knees are soft, so they don't have to be fully locked. It's another exercise, this one. Targets the hamstrings more. When they're slightly bent, targets the glutes a lot more. And the lower back. So give it a go.
You tell them about the piece of string on the bum?
Yeah, the piece of string. Anytime you're hinging or you're working that posterior chain, you want to imagine there's a piece of string attached to your tailbone.
Pulling you up.
It's pulling you up, right? So that's that posterior kind of anterior pelvic tilt that you want to learn how to get, because that will really help you be able to isolate that hinge. Geez, I'm talking so much, eh?
There's different ways of adding load to this, okay? So you can do the bar like what Vanya did. I personally like to get a plate and hold it behind. You can also get a plate and hold it to your front bottom. You like it because it kind of prompts you to round your back a bit too much. And it's hard as you see how my back is arched here. When people do this, like you start to round because the weight's kind of like on your chest.
Yeah.
So
obviously the more experienced you get and the more, you can play with different variations and experiment. You can get dumbbells. Dumbbells are super cool to keep close to your legs here as you're hinging back. And you can see how that load sort of helps you to go down. It can assist you to get lower, but it also builds strength because you're going against resistance.
yeah, you really feel this in the hamstrings.
Yeah, you're going to feel it all the way. It's amazing. And you can see how this will progress you towards a seated good morning, towards a pancake, how it's going to improve your hamstring flexibility, lower back, adductors, and also get you towards improving the splits. It's all about the hips, baby.
Is that somewhere in the top that you just got me?
Yeah. How does it feel?
Feels good. I feel like so many people need to know this stuff because see people in the gym or runners. You get a runner, right? They spend ages stretching their hamstring like this and just getting nowhere. If you do something like this, like you're not just going to open up your entire hamstring and posterior chain, you're actually building strength in your end range, meaning that your body is actually confident in utilizing these ranges of motion no matter what it is you go and do. And once you get there, you won't even have to warm up.
Yeah, because sorry to interrupt you, but this is your new normal, right?
Think of like a bicep curl. Like if you first go to the gym and a 5 kilo bicep curl is difficult for you, then you're gonna need to warm up to do that. But by the time you've trained for a few years, let's say you can bicep 30 kilos, right? Like 5 kilos is nothing. It becomes like, you know, you're normal. Like you can do it anytime. Like you don't need to warm up to the 5 kilos. And it's the same with this. Like as your hamstrings start to open up, which they will, and very quickly, this will become your new normal. And you'll be able to access this at any time without warming up. You won't even need to stretch. I honestly rarely passive stretch ever my hamstrings. Sometimes I will if I'm just like waiting around, got some time to kill. And for sure you can do it to relax your muscles, but for me personally, I wouldn't want to rely on having to stretch every day to feel good or for some hamstring pain to go away or to feel like I can actually walk.
Because what use is flexibility without strength? It's no use. It's a recipe for injury and weakness. Nobody wants to be a weak motherfucker. Do they, Josh?
No one wants to be a weak motherfucker.
Yeah, it's all about being strong, motherfucker.
And resilient.
And resilient. So you can take on the bastards.
Why don't you show them some kicks?
Whew. You don't want to see those.
I'm used to wait again.
These people in the gym must think we're cray-cray. Talking, kicking, fucking around. All right, let's go. I can really see your hamstrings like working over time. It's such a satisfying exercise and it doesn't even require a lot of weight, like to feel it. You know what else? Another cue that I really love is you want to imagine like you're ripping the floor apart with your feet. So there's a piece of paper underneath your feet and you want to rip it apart. Immediately that activates the adductors, the glutes, everything's on fire. Even that alone challenges you. Yeah, boy.
Feeling the glutes as well.
Yeah, you're feeling the ass. So girls, if you want to build that booty, and boys, of course, why am I discriminating? You should be getting onto this exercise. For shizzle. For shizzle, my nizzle. Who said that, Josh?
You said what?
For shizzle, my nizzle. Snoop Doggy Dogg. When the pimps and the hoes drop it like a tie. Do you know that song, Josh? I'm going to do one more set.
Number 3?
Number 3. So do you know what I did yesterday, Josh?
What?
I went for a run.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
Where'd you go?
I came to the cafe to meet you.
Oh, you did.
20-minute run.
Then you got left home.
And then I got to lift home on your scooter. Because it rained.
You should earn the coffee.
Yeah.
How many coffees have you had today?
2.5.
Yeah, you drink way too much coffee.
Not at all. Coffee is the elixir of life. So you can see, there's not much stretching going on here. It's all about strength, challenging the end ranges. And this is how we train. And this is why we're flexible 24/7.
247, baby.
Whew.
Mobility 247.
That's right.
There's a brand name.
24/7 flexible.
24/7.
No need for warm-ups.
Moves 247.
When you do your last set, I'm going to tell you a story. I used to go to so before I was mobile, before I got into the mobility journey.
Which was never. You came out the womb mobile.
Bullshit.
Don't lie to the people.
I was as stiff as they come. My shoulders were like here.
I need to see a photo.
I don't have any. That's the issue, right? I can't show before and after because I never documented anything before. Anyways, so before I went on the mobility journey, I used to go to Bikram yoga 4 times a week. And there was this initial move where they make you do this. And I literally could not bring my arms past my ears. I was that tight. And the teacher used to say, he used to like chant. You know how they chant in yoga? And then you take your arms past your head and eventually you'll be able to do this. Eventually never came for me. 1 year of going to Bikram yoga, all I did was get a nice good sweat. And then when I went on my mobility journey, I came back to the same class and they thought I was the guru. Do you believe that? I was so flexible that they thought I was the Bikram guru.
I feel like this is just a shortcut to flexibility and mobility.
It is. That's right. That's why we can do things like splits.
Because I feel like so many people struggle to stay consistent with mobility, but you're seeing yourself progress every single session, every single week. You would stay consistent.
Yeah, because, all I see is people training mobility like this. They're doing like, this. They're doing like some funky shit. It's boring.
It's very boring.
Nobody wants to be doing that shit.
I feel like this, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So it's like a strength workout. The way it's targeting your full range.
And resilient. You know what I mean?
That's what we're all about.
Okay, next, split squats, baby.
Split squats?
Split squats.
So just to recap. So what did we just do?
Straddle good mornings.
Yeah. Recap.
So recap that. So it's more posterior chain based. It's going to target your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back, also your adductors, depending on how wide you position your feet. The first thing you want to learn as a beginner is how to hinge your hips. So your spine needs to remain flat, arch, neutral, and you're going to lower as far as you can maintain that. So not any lower to the point where you start to do this. You want to flatten that spine and then slowly start to add load. You can add load in the form of dumbbells. You can add load in the form of a barbell, a plate, even just a stick.
And you want to avoid looking up too much like we probably were. We've just got a mirror.
We're just checking ourselves out. So you want to be able to, neck is neutral. You don't want to be like this and you don't want to be like this. Neutral, gazing forward. If I was to put a stick sort of on your spine, the stick should stay on your spine the whole time as you lower down.
Why is it so important to do this, all of this exercise in general?
The straddle good morning, it's fantastic exercise to learn how to hinge. Remember how we always talk about a healthy human should be able to learn how to squat, so hip flexion. You should learn how to hinge, so hip extension. It's just basic human patterns that everyone should do. And these basic human patterns lead you on to more advanced things. They make you move better. They make you perform better, avoid injury, strengthen muscles, strengthen joints, and be badass.
What's next?
Next, split squats with a pause.
Split squats with a pause.
Yeah. Why pause? Because we want to really target that heel, the ankle. So you're going to feel how much ankle mobility this requires, and especially holding that position with load in the bottom. What I want to point out, very important for a split squat. Initial starting point, you don't want to be on a tightrope. So you don't want to be like this because you're not going to have balance. You want to be on train tracks. So imagine one foot on one track, the other foot on another track, and that's your position. Cue number 1. Cue number 2, you want to not arch your lower back. So you want to posterior tilt and you want to stretch out the back hip and keep it stretched like that the whole way through. So you see, it's going to be a lot more difficult to lower down because this back hip will be tight. And you want to challenge the range of motion like that. For the people who don't have mobility, we're going to elevate our foot onto a box. Why do we do that?
Because it's going to compensate for lack of hip mobility, ankle mobility, even knee stability, mobility.
Yeah. So we're both pretty flexible, so we're going to do it with no elevation. But if you cannot get your hamstring to your calf in the bottom position, like
you're going to do exactly the same thing. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll get a, a slant board. Now, we don't like to use slant boards.
No bueno.
For this. Tell them why.
No bueno, because you want to be challenging that ankle mobility, right? So if you're up here on your toe with a slant board underneath your heel, you're defeating the purpose of the exercise, which is to stretch out this ankle. So you're better off elevating your whole foot onto a box, and you're going to be able to.
So like the thing is, with movements like this, like you don't want to regress one single isolated part of the movement. You want to regress the movement as a whole. So you're still getting the benefits of everything. It's like if you struggle with ankle mobility, but you're going to completely compensate for lack of ankle mobility in everything you do.
Just to do the exercise.
And then you say that you have to train ankle mobility. It's like, well, what a waste of time. It's like you can literally kill two birds with one stone. Your training is so much more efficient. So yeah, don't regress isolated parts of one movement. Regress the entire movement as a whole. It might make it too easy now for your hips. Doesn't matter. You need to wait for your ankles to catch up so you don't have imbalances anyway.
Yeah, and that's why you track in session to session. You're going to reduce the height of that step. I would say that this is too high.
This is a little bit too high, I want to demonstrate this what's going to
You want to start with like ankle, shin height.
I mean, you want to get a height that allows you to perform the movement with good form, right? So you never know. Some people might need
hamstring to calf, baby. Hamstring to calf.
Still going to have that wide stance. Knees going to go past the toes. Everything remains the same that Vanya just said, except you're regressing the entire movement. So let's get into it.
All right, shove that chair out of the way. So the split squat is also a great unilateral strength building exercise. So the heavier that you go, the more challenged your strength will be. So here I am trying to engage my back hip. I'm thinking of driving my knee past my toe, coming down, pausing in this position, and then driving back through the heel. Okay? Lots of balance, lots of stability are required here. This is quite heavy and challenging for me, and I love it. Oh, he left me. He escaped because he doesn't like split squats. So yeah, as a beginner, I would start with dumbbells. So you can hold dumbbells in each hand and you can perform it there. So that means that the weight will be reduced and you'll be able to increase the range of motion. There you are. I said that you escaped because you didn't want to do split squats. Made a runner. All right.
Yeah, split squats.
Let's go.
I don't really like bar for this either. I prefer dumbbells.
He's weak. Not strong like me. I prefer to train like a man. Not that women don't train with bar, but you know what I mean. I like more beast mode. Beast mode, and Josh likes least mode. He likes comfort. I like discomfort. Let's go.
Did you do overhead split squats or did you rest on
I just did regular split squats. This is quite heavy and challenging for me. It's 40 kilos.
There's so many ways to do a split squat.
Oh, it's the best.
I prefer dumbbells because you can focus purely on the movement itself. Like if you can do overhead split squat. But it's more way more to think about.
Yeah,
it's harder, of course, and it's more beneficial.
I mean, it's a progression. It's a different progression because there's so many things you can play with. And that's what I mean. Like, you'll never get bored. You'll never get stale. So, yeah, an amazing cue, which I like to give, is you want to initiate the movement through your hip. So a lot of people, they make the mistake of initiating the movement with their knee. So it ends up like they're going down, like they're on a elevator. You want to go forward like you're in an escalator. So you're pulling hip forward and then hip leading back. Do you feel the difference when you do that?
Feel the difference.
Yeah. So instead of thinking down, you want to think forward. Pretty good.
Feel a bit tight with this one.
Yeah, you haven't done it in a while. You used to do this regularly, and this exercise improved your splits so much.
I did. I had no intention to do the splits. Never bothered me. I started doing this and single-legged mornings, which we're going to do today.
We'll do it at the end, yeah.
Yeah. This and single-legged mornings. After about 6 months, I could just do the front splits. I never trained for the front splits. Never cared about it. It just came as a byproduct of building the strength. And if I can do it, you can do it too. I used to be as stiff as anything.
Yeah, and you have very long legs too. You're very tall. So it doesn't come easy for you. There's a lot of range of motion that we have to move through here with you. Turn your front foot slightly out a little bit. There you go. Give your hip a little bit of room, external rotation. And then keeping that back hip engaged and straight. Keep your heel flat on the ground. Don't be cheating.
For sure.
Your front foot. Heel flat. Yeah. And then stretch. You even have special shoes and you're still cheating.
I also have a hernia.
Oh, you do, don't you? Yeah, you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
I've got a hernia at the moment. It's not great.
You need to get surgery for that, don't you?
I don't feel it on the other side. It's just this side where it stretches all the way through.
Yeah. So let's move on to set number 2.
Yeah, stuff like this, like when you haven't done it in a while, you feel it, but then you also get it back like so quick.
Yeah, you do. You get it back.
It's the same as like, if you lift weights to get big, right? Like you go on holiday for 2 weeks, like you feel like your body's deteriorating, like you feel so shit. Then you train like again for 1 week and it's like you've got it all back.
Whew.
Keep your upper body more upright.
Very heavy this for me.
Huh?
It's heavy. I haven't trained strength in a while. Whew. Let's go. Dumbbells are there.
Set number 2.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to reduce my load.
There's something about being able to see yourself that makes it easier. It's a balance.
You know what?
I don't know what it is.
It depends. I like the mirror for some things, but I also dislike the mirror because you rely too much on the mirror and visual cues as opposed to kinesthetic cues, which is understanding where your body is in space, which is very important for movement, for sport, Because if I put you in a field, you ain't gonna have a mirror.
See, the things like this, like, you actually start to feel your balance get better. Your proprioception, your body awareness. If you're going to just do a leg press in there, like, you're using no, like, mental capacity or stimulation. There's physical.
Yeah.
Like, when you're just isolating these body parts, like, yeah, you can push harder, you can push more weight, grow bigger muscles, sure. But it's like, your body starts to feel so disconnected because, like, you can't train anything together. Like, you can't move as one.
Yeah, I observe these people in the gym and I'm like, where do they learn this stuff, some of these people? I'm always compelled to go educate them, but it's not my place to do that.
I've got to be careful with this side.
You do have to be careful. It still looks really good though. Try to pause a little bit in the bottom, stretch the ankle out, and then jump up. To be honest with you, I prefer to train like barefoot most of the time. I think it's much better. It was a bit wet today, so we couldn't do it. So this is my last set, and I've reduced the load a little bit, and I'm just gonna smash out 10 reps of this one.
I don't really like this format of training. I prefer, usually when I come, I like to superset things. I feel like we should have supersetted some
Yeah, I mean, typically we'll superset this with handstand work.
Yeah, so typically we like to superset lower body mobility with handstand work. I don't know why did we not do that today?
Today, because I felt like this environment wasn't really good for handstands.
Yeah.
Like the floor wasn't good. Yeah, but you always definitely want to do that because you get more bang for your buck.
Yeah, if time was a factor, you definitely get so much more from your time by supersetting. To be honest, usually even when I train upper body, strength and mobility, I'll superset each thing with either lower body mobility, more so light movement-based work though, as opposed to strength like this, so my lower body can recover. Yeah, I always like to superset with something. I feel my hips burning.
Yeah. Let's go last set here. I feel like the rains are coming, Josh. We should show them the Sydney skyline.
You want to gauge how wide your stance is by like, can you or can you not put your weight into your ankle? Like if I'm here, then I can't get any further without bringing my ankle off. So that's a good sign that I need to come a little bit wider in my stance.
And you want to keep your shoulder blades back as well, like really engaged with the weight. Like I always see people, when they're using weights, they're very disconnected. the weight is very disconnected from their body. The weight should feel like it's a part of you, just an extension of your limb or an extension of your body. So yeah.
And sometimes with unilateral movements, where you have the left side and the right side, you don't always have to go like left straight after the right. Like you can let your body recover a bit, like for a minute.
Sometimes it's better to rest too.
So you actually have more energy for the second side. So otherwise, like you're giving all of your energy to like the first side that you do, which the majority of the time by habit is going to be the same side. So over time, imbalances, you can start to get them if you don't.
And like another thing to also remember is you should always start with the weaker limb. The weaker limb, the tighter limb, whatever feels like kind of worse on you, and then match the stronger one to it. So they kind of rebalance each other out over time. Remember to posterior pelvic tilt. Don't overextend. Yeah. A lot of people say they sometimes feel pressure in the lower back when they're doing this exercise. That's because they're compensating through the lower back and they're arching, which doesn't do any good for your lower back, and it doesn't stretch out your hip flexor like it should. So yeah. After this, we're going to finish off with hamstring and active pigeon, external rotation of the hip. And that will be pretty much our mobility workout for today. Short and sharp and sweet.
Split squat. You feel a lot in your hips.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, like you don't need as much weight as you think you do. If you do these things properly, without any weight at all, you should feel it a lot still.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next, we're going to do single leg good morning, and we're going to do active pigeon elevated.
Supersetted?
Yeah, we can superset
I think
that.
we should superset this one.
Yeah, we'll superset that.
Single leg good morning is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
For the
Such a
hamstrings.
good exercise for your hamstrings. The cues to remember in this one. The balance will play a big factor in this exercise. So if you're finding that you can't balance, it's okay to assist with the back leg. But what you want to remember is the leg stays locked. So there's no bend in the knee at all, as this isolates your hamstring. So we want to isolate our hamstring as much as we can. And you're going to do this by keeping the knee locked and arching your lower back. So again, remember that cue where you're trying to squish something in between your hip and your tailbone is shooting up to the sky. And you pause where you feel that you start to lose the arch in your lower back. So you can even keep one hand on your back here and one hand in your hip, and you can feel for that flat kind of spine in the bottom and reverse the motion. So we do this for 10 reps and then we pause in the bottom position for 10 seconds. Amazing exercise. And your goal is to get your torso parallel to the ground over time. So we're going to do that one, and then we're going to superset the active pigeon on a box. So typically we do the active pigeon on the floor, but this variation on a box is easier to some extent, but it also lets you play around with different variations. So the one we're going to do today is 10 reps of external rotation, so driving the knee towards the bench. And then once we're done there, we're going to pulse. So we're going to stretch it out, drive it back up. Stretch it out, drive it back up. Now, the higher this bench is, the more range of motion you're going to have to go through, which will be more challenging on your knee, on your glutes, on your hips, as well as the back hip flexor there. And then we're going to do 10, leaning forward, stretching that hip even more so.
So as she comes up here, she's driving the knee into the knee on the bench down.
If you have like knee issues, knee pain, knee injuries, you have to be careful with this one because it puts a lot of strain on your ligaments. So only go as far as you're comfortable. There should be some strain, but definitely no pain. So yeah, play with that. You can
make it easier, but you basically just want to bring the surface higher.
And of course, reduce the range of motion. So we make things easier by reducing the range of motion.
We use a plate for this.
It's going to rain on us.
It's going to chuck it down.
Yeah, so do you want to start with single leg good morning?
Yep.
He'll do single leg good
I
morning.
think we'll same time.
And then we'll alternate, yeah.
Super speed.
Super set. So we smash this out before the rains.
Okay, yeah. So single leg good morning, same as the Straddle good morning Vanya did earlier. Like there's different ways you can hold weight. For me personally, I prefer to hold a plate on my back. I'm actually going to take my shoes off for this. And take on the wet socks.
I can feel the rain.
So my left foot here is purely for balance. I don't want to put too much weight into it. I'm using a 15 kilo, but like really, you're going to feel this a lot with just body weight if you're just starting.
Yeah, body weight is...
You really don't even need weight.
Yeah, most people should start with body weight. You really don't need weight. And this single-legged morning is an exercise that I go back to time and time again.
This should be a go-to for hamstrings.
For everything.
If you complain about hamstring mobility, but you're not doing this, you have no right.
I agree.
This is the number one.
So some people will ask, is it dangerous to keep your knee locked out like that? What do we say to that, Josh?
It's absolutely not dangerous to leave your knee locked out, but...
It's not dangerous provided that you don't have knee injuries and you're not like...
And just don't start with 15 kilos. Like if it's your first time doing it.
Weight.
Like, and you can get so much out of this with just body weight. Here, you can control how much weight you put into this foot here. Okay, like you come here, you can put more weight or less weight. And you only want to come down as far as you feel comfortable. Don't force your body to get parallel to the ground like you see me doing if you can't do that yet. Come here, hold, drive back up. And that's all you need to do.
So
maybe if you don't have access to weight, but you want to make it even harder, you can just do a single leg. And it's going to add an element of balance into it as well.
Amazing exercise, really. Like, I feel this. The rains are coming. I'm going to shut you guys off and get back to you.
Whoa. You're going to let the rain so people can get immobile?
Come on, Josh.
That's
It's pissing, you guys. I can't concentrate because I feel like all the equipment's going to get drenched.
All right.
All right? We'll see you guys in a bit. And there's the beautiful Sydney Harbour. You cannot see the bridge because of the rain.